Welcome back to another video. This one's going to be a little bit different for you. This is going to be a kind of a mad scientist behind the scene type of, I don't know why my hat looks so flat, but kind of how I put boxes together for the items I do at work. But I had somebody ask me earlier about how do I set up my devices in outdoor box. And I'm going to tell you before we even get started on this, because I know how some of the experts are, there are many different ways of skinning this cat. Yes, I'm sure that there's ways of doing this where you can shield more RF, make sure the SDR is different or placed somewhere different or anything like that. This is basically working with what we have here. Again, there's many different sizes to these outdoor boxes, many different tools you can use, and I'm gonna kind of show y'all different ways of how I've set them up. And based if you're gonna use a POE from getting power down a Cat 5 or Cat 6 from outside the box somewhere, or different ways you can even set up power inside the box. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to set up one real quick because I have to set one up that's going to go down to a new host location that I just got agreed on today. I already set up the device in Wingbits, and now I'm going to show you how I do it in the box. So stick around, stay tuned. Maybe I'll learn something. I'm sure there'll be somebody critiquing it. Get over it. Y'all know me. I'm grumpy, and I'm going to do it my way, even if it's the wrong way. But y'all know my favorite saying, do as I say, not as I do. I might tell y'all what to do. Not necessarily you have to follow what I do, but y'all stick around, stay tuned, and see what y'all think about this video. All right, this is the first one I'm gonna show y'all. This is what I'm using for work. This is strictly for work, not for Wingbits, but just to kind of give you an idea for those who've never seen these, just different options of what they have. You can see by the size of my hand, exactly how big this thing is. It's big, but we put a couple of things in here. This is what we mostly use for our fiber connections when I'm doing cameras for work, and we're gonna be linking 5 or 6 cameras in the area into one fiber download. We'll put sometimes a switch like this in it that also has POE, but you can see that this one even has, this is from Elcom. Again, work has to pay the bill. This is too rich for my flavor as far as putting Wingbits type of devices in it, but we've been using Elcom for years, even before I got transferred back here in 2016. We used to use a fiberglass version, but the fiberglass version got, in this southern heat with 100+ degree temperatures and rain and sun and stuff like that, the fiberglass got so bad you didn't want to even touch it after. But we switched to these plastic about 2-3 years ago and love them. But you can see it's got some big fans in here. The fans are automatic control that once they reach a certain temperature inside, they will switch on. Another cool thing is this has power in it. So if I can open this up without, so this is the brackets that go in the back, but we can run a power cord of some type through here, and it hooks into this bracket right here, and now you have 4 plugs that you can power your switch right here with, or you can put whatever you need to put in there. We have even gone all out and even sometimes put these cyber power type towers in it, or even just a desktop type UPS in it, just to give it a little bit of protection that if there is a power fluctuation, you don't have to worry about your switch powering down. You got to remember, at least for us, this is going on a power pole, which is going straight hooked up to power, like on a power light or something like a street light or something like that, where there's really not a lot of regulations like you would have in your house. You don't have circuit breakers or anything like that. So I found that putting that UPS on it does help it out. So that's why this box is so big, to be able to fit that in there. So you'll have that switch sometimes. You'll have an ONT if you're familiar with that with fiber. But this is the big boxes that we use here at work. So y'all don't mind my workbench here. It wouldn't be a workbench if it was all clean and everything. It means there's no work getting done. So these are our Elcom boxes that we don't use on our standard installs on our cameras here. So again, this is an Elcom box, and these are very good boxes, very weather tight. In all my years, we have 550 cameras. I would say 450 of those are outside, and I have never had a single one ever leak. Again, you get power through here, through a power wire. What we normally do for our work installs is Remkey makes a outlet like this, and we will feed these 3 wires like this into here. And then we'll take this metal nut that comes with it, and it screws on like this. Like that. Let me tighten it down. We would then take these 3 wires, and neutral goes to neutral, green to green, green to ground, black to line. And then now, when we power this up from this side, and I'll show you that cord in a minute, now you have power outlets, and then we can take our POEs for the cameras and radio that I install for the cameras, and that goes in here. So if anybody recognizes this, this is just a normal photo sensor that goes on top of a street light. So this plugs into that. Then you put the photo sensor that was on the street light now on top of this. This can still work as a photo sensor, so it can still turn the street line on or off. And then you have this outlet. This plug goes into this outlet, and that is how we power up our devices on a pole. So that's just a quick behind the scenes look at what we do here at work, and what kind of gave me the background of taking this and putting it kind of on my level in a lot less expensive way for my installs that I do at host houses and stuff like that. So I'm gonna show you real quick, or kind of real quick, how I do that. All right, so what we have here is, this is one of the boxes that I share on Amazon. This is a lot less expensive model than the L-Coms that I just showed y'all. This box right here is, I don't know, 7 to 8 inches tall, probably about 5 inches wide, and about 4 or 5 inches deep. Now, there's some things you can and can't fit in here, depending on what kind of device you're putting in here and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna kind of quickly show you how I would wire this box, and there's 2 different ways of doing it. I'm gonna start as if I'm only doing this as a POE box. So if you buy the right box on Amazon that I have linked, it would also come with these grommets that you can put in underneath. So I use a unibit with a drill that I can, kind of watch how big of a hole I want, and I will drill this into the bottom of this box. So as you can see, I drilled 1 hole, kind of guesstimated on the size. Doesn't have to be scientific, and I tried it, and as you can see, it doesn't fit. So I need to go, kind of 1 more rung deeper, and try that one. Perfect. A little snug, but I want it snug. So now I'm gonna take my nut, and I'm gonna fasten it to the back. I have this plastic right here, and it's gonna be very, very snug because I forgot about this plate. Worst comes to worst, I'm gonna take this plate out because I need the depth, and there's nothing I'm actually attaching, kind of like a hobby board or something. I don't need to keep this attached. So I'm gonna have to take this board out because I ill-planned. Don't you love it when it's on the fly like that? And I'm gonna take this box out. So, this bottom plate off to give me additional room anyway. So I'm going to do that. All right, so my plate is now out. And I'm going to screw my grommet underneath here. And when I'm done screwing, I'm going to make sure that, I know the lighting ain't the best in here, but I'm going to make sure that I have this snug down as tight as possible. Now, let's take a step back real quick, and let's discuss people and experts and stuff like that. Like I said, this is how I do it. Now, you can get by with one of these, and I know they got some people on Discord and Wingbits is cringing right now because of RF and interference and noise and stuff like that. So if you really wanted to, you can get by with this one grommet. I'm going to show you now what I mean by that. All right, so the first thing we're going to start off with is we're going to pretend like this is going to be a POE option. This is what I run a lot of my devices with. This is a way of you can have an internet and power inside your house, but put this box closer to your antenna at the install point. I have some hosts that prefer this, but either way, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a Cat5, and this is going to simulate, if you have a switch that happens to have POE, like this one does, you would take the cord, the Cat5 or Cat6, and you would run it in here. All right, so for a POE option, I have these POE bricks that I have in my Amazon, these POE splitters that I have in my Amazon. One thing I will caution some people about, which I found out the hard way, is you really have to pay attention to what type of splitter you're buying. These have an output of 5 volts, 4 amps max. These do up to 2 amps max. I have had issues with these in the past where when you try to add this SDR to it, it's not enough power sometimes to run both the USB SDR like this, you know, or any of the other color ones, versus the with having enough power and all that. So I only use these now, and again, I have these in my Amazon cart. So basically, from your POE switch, you're gonna plug this in here, and then it outputs power. And I have a potato right here, and it has Velcro on it. Now, just to kind of start kind of putting it together and to kind of play around with it a little bit, I can plug this in here and plug the power in here. And then I always use, because I've learned the hard way, I put these 90-degree connectors in here because I have broken these little USB SDRs. I have broken them off in here when I'm trying to finagle all this in here. So to me, it's kind of a strain relief. And now I have this set up. Now again, I'm doing this easy way. There are multiple ways of doing it. I understand somebody's gonna have an issue with this. So get over it. Don't even bother commenting. But you will take the connector, the end connector, whatever this end piece is you want to call it, and feed this in here. And then, you know, connect your antenna to your SDR. Now, when you start tightening this down a little bit, you can feel it getting tighter, and the gland in here is going to shrink to make this watertight. Now, you want to try to maneuver this away, and this is what everybody's going to complain about, is you don't want to create additional noise for this. But honestly, these boxes are so small, it's not really an ideal setup, so you have to just kind of watch how you put this in here. You don't want to bend this too much because as you can see, it's already starting to crease a little bit. So, you know, it is what it is for me, and I don't sweat it. I know somebody's going to have an issue with it. Get over it, because they talk about this on the Facebook group. But having these two things so close together could be an issue. You know, if you want to try to separate this like this, if you have enough Cat 6 Ethernet cable, you know, but you also have to make sure that you connect this POE splitter to your device. All right. Now what you can also do is you can also take some Velcro this to this side so that it stays tucked over here. You Velcro this down to this side and it can stay over here. You know, you can do those different things like that. And then this stays right here. And again, as you tighten this down more, this will get snug. Now, when you close this off, this is all you have. Now you have your wire that has to go to your antenna. And you have your Ethernet wire that goes down to your POE brick. And that's it. This is self-contained. These have these little hanging hooks like this. These hanging hooks install on the back of this box in each hole. Therefore, you can then use that to zip tie or however way you want to connect your box to whatever you're installing to. So that's one option of how to do that. So what's the other option? For the people who really are that anal about their wires touching each other, I simply just drilled another hole with another gland. Your antenna wire would go in one. Your Cat 6 cable, Ethernet cable would go in the other one. And now you can easily keep them separated so they don't touch if you're that concerned with the RF and the noise and stuff like that. So I have seen more of a noise issue with installs depending on location, no matter how I have these wires ran versus the wires touching. So to me, I am not that overly concerned. So this is your POE option. Now, another POE option is this. So your other option is actually buying, and the ones on Amazon that I have a link to are black. I don't have one here with me, but these are the ones that we use for work, so I'll use this for an example. But you have the POE Injector. And the way this works is you have your normal internet switch at home. Now, this internet switch will go from the internet switch port to the data in port, and then from the data out port of this, when this is plugged in, so now you will have the power out to your injector. And this is honestly what majority of my setups are. And then now you have this set up here. You have your antenna line here. So basically the inside is going to look identical, but it's basically how are you going to get power to your device. So on a regular home internet setup that I think majority of y'all will have, you'll use this POE injector to push power over this Ethernet wire here to your POE splitter. Then this will plug into here for power to your potato or to your pie or whatever you might have. And you have your strain relief for your 90 degree. And then this will plug into here. Boom. Now you're ready to go. And what's good is these can push 300 feet, 323 feet, I think it is, power over Cat 6 cable. So, you know, you can have this installed and run this through an attic to outside to a pole that's outside your house. I've had some previous videos to show you what poles you can use for that, that I like to use that are, you know, very cost and effect, you know, good price. So that is another way of doing that. So let's look at a different way that I also can do power to this. Now, my next way of installing it, I'm going to show how to do power inside the box. Now, if you want to make this super easy and just use a lot of sealant or something like that, you can drill a hole big enough for something like this to fit through. I advise against it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make a very long power cable. So what I'm going to do first is I'm cutting this off here. All right. And then I am also going to take a extension cord. Now, this is not going to pull a lot of power, so I'm not going to go completely crazy, you know, with the gauge or anything like that, but it's still a good, decent, probably about a 10-foot extension cord. And I'm going to cut this piece of this off also. And now I am simply going to, after I drill a hole in the bottom of this, I'm going to splice these two together. So after I basically drilled my other hole, I am going to carefully cut this sheeting away. I am not pushing hard at all. I am barely putting pressure on it. And I'm going to slowly just kind of cut this away. And until I can slowly again cut this. I don't know if I'm capturing it on video or not. because I do not want to cut the wires on the inside. That's the big thing. But this is a pretty thick sheeting here. So as you can see, I'm slowly working it. You can see the wires on the inside. So I am not cutting those wires. You can see the wire like this. But I am just slowly going to work this razor knife around. And I'm sure they got some other better tools out there. But this is just what I happen to use. And I'm just going to keep working this around until I get this sheeting off. And as I just work this around, eventually, here's my wires. Now, I'm going to take my receptacle outlet like this. Now notice, this is just a basic 3 outlet. This is not, the one I'm using is not surge protected. It's not on and off switch or anything like that. I am famous for having an on-off switch in these boxes, and my fat fingers and fat thumbs flip the switch right as I'm shutting the door, and then I get back to my office and realize, oh hell, but we use surge protectors on ones at work. Again, what I pay for with our stuff, the stuff we pay for at work is not going in this. This is all stuff that I bought, so of course I'm saving money. And it might bite me in the rear end after. But again, I'm gonna do the same thing, is I'm gonna make some very light cuts going around as I slowly start to kind of expose that wire. I am not going deep at all because I do not want to cut the wires in between. And as you can see, I am slowly working that around. It's close. And now we got this one done. So I'm taking my wire strippers. I'm basically just going to strip these 3, and I'm going to strip the other ones and join them back together through the box. Do this one a little bit longer. Same thing. I'm going to strip the wire away. All right, now I have these couplers right here, and I'm going to feed this through my hole. This is my extension cord cable, making sure I'm not putting it backwards. It's very important. So this is my extension cord cable. I have it ran in here, and see, I also messed up already because I need my grommet. So we're gonna try this again. Now I got my grommet, or my gland, or whatever you want to talk. This is the gland that I was telling you all about. You can see this gland that is a flexible gland. And basically you're going to stick this in here like this. You want to make sure that this gland, at least these, you want to make sure that this gland goes inside of this. Just like that. And then you're going to close this down whenever you get the right length. But I'll do that after. So now that I have this through here, I'm going to use a coupler to put each color back to back. And I like to make sure I give each one a decent tug. And this is what it looks like. So now I'm gonna wrap this with electrical tape. So you have basically 2 choices. You could either, to keep it weather protected, leave it in here like this, or if you really have to, and you need all the line you can get, you can pull this back through here to have this like this, if you really want to. It just make sure you really electrical tape that. I don't need that kind of length. So to keep it protected, I'm gonna keep all these little connectors like this in here. I have Velcro. I bought a roll of it. And I Velcro one side. Then I Velcro the other side to the side of the box. And make sure that that Velcro is really on that box. And now you have power inside of there. And then I'm going to come back with some electrical tape. If I'm going to put a modifier in here, this is going to get awfully tight, awfully fast. So I would go to a bigger box. And what's good about some of these boxes are you can go to a bigger size box and it will not cost you that much, depending on what box you buy. But one thing we can look for is ways of minimizing the amount of plugs and power supplies that might go in here. So what would option 4 be? Option 4 could be using some type of powered USB hub. And what's good about that powered USB hub is it'll give you power to numerous things. So if I'm going to put, this is probably what I'm going to do for one of my stations that I'm looking at right now for a host location, is I can sit here and this can charge off of a powered USB hub. So I can plug this in here. Now I'm getting power to this. This needs power also. So I can then plug this into here. I can even, if I want, plug this into here. Now you can plug it directly in. So this powered USB hub is going to get power from here, and trust me, I could fit all this in here because this is somewhat recessed. Now, again, I'm gonna say this again. If I know I'm putting this amount of stuff in here, I am buying a bigger box. But trust me, I'm a miracle worker. If I really, really, really had to, I could shove this into here and make sure I have my stuff plugged in. So on a MiFi, I'm not even using this. On a MiFi, I'm plugging this directly into here. And being careful with my power cable, I could get by with this if I had to. Again, nobody make no stupid comments on the comments below. I would buy a bigger box. But if this is all I had for some reason, I could still fit my antenna wire into here, get it to my USB, wherever it is in here. And yes, this is a noise freak out. Don't get me wrong. But again, if we really, really had to, I could tuck this all around a certain way. And look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I would make sure I deploy this. I mean, I would test this out a lot before it got any further, before I try to deploy it. Boom, it fits. So normally you would have a antenna wire coming out of here. I don't know what the hell I did with it. You have your power wire here, and you install your box. And it's connected. It's even got a little hole in it because I can show you all a little lock I get that will fit in this hole. I think I might have to drill it out a little bit more, but there is a lock that will fit through here, this hole, that you can do. And that is how I do a box. Now, again, the ones I'm doing are a lot cleaner than this, and I'm not shoving all this in here like this, but I'm just trying to show you, for those who wanted to see how I can do a box. I will say majority of my installs don't look like this. Majority of my installs will look something to this effect. You know, it doesn't have this goofy USB type plug. It has the correct plug for this, but for example purposes, this is all I have in front of me to show y'all. But it'll have the correct plug for this, with this Velcroed. This will be Velcroed to somewhere in the box also, because I don't like it all jiggling around. I have the strain relief like this. I'll have the, I might even put the Cat 5, Cat 6 Ethernet wire through the power one. You know, I'm not running a lot of high speed internet. I don't have to worry about all that. So to keep the antenna separate, I'd probably run the antenna in here, but this is a lot cleaner install. and then I'm now hanging the box. The box has the power wire that comes out of it in this. So that's how I'm running a lot of my installs, unless for some reason I have, you know, if I'm running POE, and I showed y'all how to do POE. So that's how I'm running my installs. I have links to all this stuff in my description below. Well, without critiquing me too bad, I hope y'all got something out that video. It was kind of fun just because it was a different video and it wasn't reviewing projects or, you know, critiquing projects or anything like that. I was able to, you know, kind of show y'all what I'm doing with boxes. And I've had several people who asked me about that. So, you know, just to go over some of this real quick, this is one of the newer boxes that I recently came across. Actually, somebody shared it in the Discord, and it's actually a very good price box. This box right here is bigger than the box that you just saw in that video, and it's the same price of what I am using in the video. And kind of like you've heard of Chinese clone antennas, these boxes are basically identical with a different brand name on them, but this box is identical to the one that I have. It's got the same little hole on the where you would put a lock at and that kind of stuff like that. So it's, as you can see the grill in the back. So a lot of these are the same thing, but they are priced different. You can get some with a clear cover if you want. For some reason, I don't want a clear cover. I don't want nobody to see what's in it. And you know, you have the regular opaque cover, which is going to be the cover like you see right there. So that is the box that you can be using. And as you can see, this does come with the glands that we talked about. It comes with the hinges and screws and stuff like that. So this is a box. This is, you can see there's many different sizes, again, depending on what size you need. You know, the size kind of close to what I was using in the video. But as you can see, when you look at the price difference between that one and this one, $26.99, $29.99, you get a lot more room. But some people don't want a bigger box. If you're not doing POE, you don't have to put a cellular modifier card or whatever in it. You don't need all that space. You can get by with the space that I have. I have many of my devices in boxes like you just saw, even the ones with POE, to be honest with you. And again, there's no ventilation on this. We keep this stuff sealed. I really don't want moisture getting in there. We have very, very high humidity, but we also have those boxes I showed you in the beginning of the video that have big fans on it. So you know there's moisture getting in there. In you know, summertime, we're 90 to 100% humidity out here. Moisture is going to get in here. It's just, it's the evil that we'll have, but no problems, no failures or anything like that. So I'm not concerned with that. Now, this is one of the POE splitters I bought. I bought some different name brand ones. That's why it says, like, you know, I've only purchased it 2 times, because kind of like the Chinese clone antennas in the boxes, there are some that look identical to these, and they're not electronics or whatever this is. But the biggest thing that you want is, you want this brick right here that says on here 4 amps, DC 5 volt 4 amp, if you're using a Pi or something to that effect. Now, if you're using a Rock Pies take 12 volts. So you would need a different type of POE for that. Also, if you're using a Syncrobit takes a different type of POE. It takes like a always on POE or something like that. So there is a different version for a Syncrobit that you would have to buy. But this is the splitter you need, because this splitter, again, like you saw in my video, will split this up. There is a one that's $2 cheaper. This is really the only one you need. You need one that has the USB-C connector on it, like this. So you can see that one. You don't need the one with the barrel connector or anything like that. This is the POE injector I was telling you about. I don't have one here at the office, so I couldn't show you during my demo, but you can see I purchased it before. And this is, you would plug like your home network into the Ethernet data port, and then your POE port will be the Cat 5 cable that goes from this over to the POE splitter that I just showed you. So that's how this would work. So I wanted just to show y'all this one just real quick, just so I can confuse the hell out of y'all. This is the passive POE adapter from POE Texas, or Texas POE Injector, whatever it's called. But this is the one that you would need for a Syncrobit, because it's always on. See, always deliver the same voltage or something like that. But Syncrobits are a little bit different, and that's the one that they would need. So unless you're using the Syncrobit, which I doubt most of y'all are for this project, you're not going to need this one. And now, for those who have missed it, there's been some big change in my channel. It's something that I've had to change, that I've been recommending for over a year since I started doing videos, and that is the SDR. One day I'll figure out which way to point. I am no longer recommending the green SDRs. I've had another one fail, and so that makes 3 I've had fail within the last 4 weeks, possibly 6 probably total since I started the project. Now, to be fair, I will say that out of the 30, I think I counted today, I am handling 28 Wingbit stations between my personal ones, my friends, my families, spread out all along the Gulf Coast. But I would say out of the 28 stations, I don't want to exaggerate, so I'm going to say probably about 22 of them have green SDRs. I have one now using this one that I'm testing out. I have one using the other blue SDR, that is this one. And the rest are using like some of the black ones, because they're older ones from that people bought in the beginning and don't want to swap. Hey, that's on them. I don't care. So I've had 3 of the green ones fail in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I have 2 host stations. I got to talk to somebody else about hosting another host station. My issue I'm starting to get into, without rambling on too much, is, do I really want to keep putting stations in Louisiana? Because all I'm doing is cutting into basically my own profits. You know, at some point you got to spread them out more. I'm hitting the same hexes. So even though I'm grateful that my friends close to me are willing to help me, unless it's a significant distance away, like the one I'm putting in South Louisiana, probably Friday, which I'll do a video on that just to show you all what that's Grand Isle, Louisiana's like. And in Texas or Mississippi, unless it's way further away, I'm not doing any more locally. But my point I'm getting at is, I have one of these that are ordered that I'm using now, testing out. I have another one of these I just ordered for one of my host stations. I have 2 of these I just ordered. My issue with these is, while some people have had some good success with them, I am an impatient person, as my wife will tell you. And my issue with this is, I ordered this at the end of last week. We are on Tuesday, and it has not moved yet. A label was created with USPS, which is the post office. But as of tracking, as of June 4th at 6:50 p.m. when I'm making this video, because I checked it, it has not moved yet. You order this one. If you order it early enough in the day, you will get it next day. If not next day, you at the very least will get this the day after. That's why I liked from Amazon. That's why I liked about the green one so much. I'm doing some testing between different SDRs, and I have mixed feelings on both of these. I'll be dead honest with you. The green one, before the ESDs, it had a good filter on it. It had a good power to it. It just worked. And I'm finding that both of these have their own pluses and minuses behind them. I know they have people on Discord who will argue with me, saying how these should work versus the other ones, and how the other ones should work versus these. But I talk to y'all about real world. I don't go do stupid measurements and hooking up meters to feed line and antennas and stuff like that. I'm doing real world applications. I'm looking at the messages. I'm looking at the scores or the rewards we're getting from Wingbits over 7 days with these different SDRs. And it's honestly kind of mind-boggling that you get the results with Wingbits that doesn't really agree with what you see in your graphs. So, you know, they're only looking for particular messages, and I guess it's not really reflected directly on your TAR 1090 screen or the graphs. So, but as of right now, you know, if I had to buy 2 more tomorrow for another host station, I'm probably buying this one. Again, I'm not 100% satisfied with it, but I'm not buying no more green ones. And with this one, I'm not waiting 2 weeks for it to come in. That's basically all it is to it. Just so I can say I went over it again, this is the antenna. I have tested several antennas. This is the antenna to get. It's from ADSB Exchange. It works. I don't care if it looks like a Chinese clone antenna. People say it's a Chinese clone antenna, yet I have never seen any other antennas that are 26 inches long. So normally the Chinese clone antennas, like we saw in helium, they're all the same size. They're all the same length. So they all had the same looking bracket. A lot of these have the same looking bracket, but they're not 26 inches long like this one is. And I have purchased them. I have tried them. There's a white one that's out there, a white 1090 antenna made by somebody else. If you need a white one to put against your house or gutters or something like that for hot against the HOA, there's a black one that's in my link. My sister has black gutters and it matches up perfectly. Her HOA is very strict, no antennas, no nothing. And she can hide it perfectly and has never been told anything. I have purchased, I couldn't tell you how many of these, almost all my hosts or my friends or family that's having stations, they are using this antenna, and this is the antenna to buy. Please do not buy this gimmick antenna at all. Don't touch it. And please, please, please stop buying this antenna. This antenna, I don't care if it's got the package. I don't care if you're saving a little bit of money. Buy it separately. Do not buy this antenna. The antenna itself, we've had very bad reviews on. It does not pick up like the other ones. And the biggest thing that we cringe about it is that it has a, let's see if I can get it. On the bottom of this antenna, this wire is hardwired. This is 32 feet of some very thin antenna wire that is it's a poor antenna, very poor design. And the issue with it is permanently attached to the bottom of this antenna, meaning if anything ever happens to this wire, if it gets pinched and it breaks or anything, you nick it when you're trying to cut some zip ties or anything happens to it like that, this antenna is ruined. You cannot swap this wire out at all. And it's just very, very poor design. You know, another thing I'm starting to see a lot of people who are trying to maximize their efforts, which look, I'm happy they're trying it, but also don't want to see people waste their money. On a 99% of y'all's installs where y'all putting this in the house, whether it's inside, outside, on the roof or anything, this device is all you need. This SDR, whatever you want to call it, USB dongle, this is all you're going to need. This receiver, this one or the one I showed you on Amazon, the other blue one. You know, some people prefer this one because this one has the metal sides to it. And when it has the metal sides like this, it's supposed to do some better rating of heat. The other one's plastic, doesn't really do that well. So some people will add some type of heat pads to this. But I see people wanting to start adding filters to this. They want to add LNAs to this, like amplifiers and stuff. This already has that on there. You see where it says, you know, on top that it has an amp. It has a filter. You don't need to add that. You don't need to be double filtering. Now, if you have certain installs, like one out of all my installs, one, which is on top of a tower that sucks up a lot of noise for some reason, I've had to double filter it. I bought a cavity filter, and that cavity filter is in addition to the SAW filter that is in this device right here. And that's what I needed to get that noise floor down. But on all my other devices, I did not need an additional filter. I have did some testing in the past with SAW filters on devices like this that already have a filter, and it made zero improvement. I've tried where I've added the LNA to one of these, and it just added either more noise to it. It didn't really help the range, and it's not worth it. This device already has that included. Now, if you bought one of these, where this is a very good SDR, it's a very good SDR if you're using it as an SDR, software-defined radio. It has frequencies it will cover from very, very low HF frequencies to some very, very high, ultra-high UHF frequencies into the thousands. So this is very wide band. So it has zero filtration to it. It has zero amplification to it, no LNA in it or anything like that. So if you had something like this, you would need to have those LNAs and the SDR added. I will admit, one thing I do want to try at some point, as soon as I can figure out which LNA I want to buy, as you can see, I purchased 7 of these. I have them laying around everywhere because I've removed them and replaced them with the other SDRs once I learned a little more about them. So I have a bunch of these sitting around. I want to take my cavity filter and put a cavity filter or an extra soft filter I have, add it to this along with the LNA. So instead of it being all in one device like the blue ones that you saw, it'll be 3 separate devices. And just curious, part of my testing that I'm doing right now, I want to test that to see how that's going to perform. And I'm curious to see how that performs. Well, I think I've spoken enough. I hope y'all learned something about this video. You know, with this video, it was a little bit different video. And I appreciate everybody's support. 12,000 subscribers. Again, I'm besides myself. I never thought that would be possible. I'm sure my family thought I was lying to them when I told them I had 12,000 people that subscribed to me. But my biggest push right now is I am trying to really push my Twitter X subscriptions up. They're very lacking. I do have, you know, a couple of hundred. I appreciate those people who have joined it, but please, please, please help me and get those subscription numbers up so I can get recognized by some of these crypto companies with these passive income projects. So I can get more stuff to test out for y'all, because I know I'll give y'all a real world review on it. And the one thing they do look at, because I've been in talks with them, is how many subscribers I have on X, not really YouTube. So I'm pushing that. Also, my other YouTube channel, Grumpy Dad Outdoors, there's a link for that in the description. Also, our Facebook page for dependent and passive income projects, there's a link in the description page below. If y'all can help me out on that, and please, please, please hit the thumbs up and like this video. I'd really appreciate it. It shows me that y'all will, you know, kind of like other videos like this, other than the normal me sitting here talking about the same projects over and over and over again. So thank y'all very much. I will see y'all on Thursday. I do a live every Thursday. And it's a ramble on type of thing. And I take questions. I got to figure out why the chat doesn't work all the time and figure that out. So thank y'all again for watching these videos. I appreciate it. And I'll see y'all in the next video.